Is this clean?
Huh?
Is this clean?
Yeah, I've been blowing my nose on it. We are live. Okay, here we go.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is
My hair's sticking up a little bit.
uh,
See, I tried to make it so it went this way,
You did?
and then it's just not wanting to
Well,
do that. Wait! Ew! No, I'm just
get
kidding.
some dippity doo on there or
Kidding,
something.
kidding.
Anyhow, what I want to talk about today is a national divorce. And I'm not advocating for it. I'm not advocating against it. I can see that something is going to happen, and it absolutely has to happen. You can argue points, whatever you want, slavery, this, that. No, the cause of the Civil War was that it was a cultural divide between the North and the South. And I know if you're a black person, you're instantly going to say slavery. To some extent, that could be true, but it's like this, all right? The South would say, if you don't agree with slavery, don't buy a slave. Does that work for you? That doesn't work for me either. Then you have these baby killers out there. If you don't agree with abortion, don't have an abortion. It's murder. All right? Plain and simple. And you have been brainwashed to believe that this is okay. Now, anytime you have an operation where it's only considered a success if one of the two patients dies, all right? And it's not just that, it's gun control. The overwhelming amount of gun violence is always done by the minority communities. Let's just call it what it is, by black people. All right. It's done by transgender people now. In other words, it's done by liberals. Okay. If you want to curtail gun violence, stop selling guns to liberals.
That's true.
There's a huge divide between city life and country life. And we can't agree on how to fix this problem. If I tried to take these young women who dress like whores and run up and down the streets, and I force them and say, you cannot have an abortion, there's going to be violence, okay? The pitiful thing is there's actually weak men out there that will go along with this because you actually think one of these nasty women is going to have sex with you. Dude, you are so deep in the friend zone, they would never sleep with you.
That's right.
Society is it's torn apart. All right. It's like my son said it one time, and I never thought it like that. The blue team, right? The red team. I'm actually not a Trump supporter. I wish there was another viable candidate. All right. But there's not. I do feel sorry for Trump because the persecution that he's under right now is ridiculous. It's unprecedented. And look, I mean, I'm not even a Trump supporter, and I look at the Democratic side. To me, you're filth, you're garbage, your ideologies. I mean, where can I start? The pedophilia, the party of pedophilia, the party of child mutilation, baby killing, all right? Psychiatric ward nut jobs, all right? There's a name for it, gender dysphoria. We used to get you mental help. Now we put you in the cabinet.
It's really genius.
Yeah.
The rather than you becoming a problem, transgender people that have this issue in their mind, and rather than them becoming our problem that we have to deal and solve with, and help, give them help, medical help, whatever, drugs or whatever needed to reset whatever misbalance is in your mind, they turn you into customers.
Yes.
Cash paying customers that And actually, it's even greater than this. Is the government, or is the drug companies cleansing their money through you,
Yeah.
through the government? Because some of the stuff that they give you, they'll give it to you for free if you want it. But who's paying? Nothing is for free. At the end, every taxpayer in this country is paying for your
Right.
whatevers. So what I'm just trying to tell you, you have been used and manipulated by the powers that be, which is either the drug companies or the government, whichever one
I
you
mean,
pick.
ask yourself, why will insurance pay for transitioning, but it won't pay for
That's
detransitioning?
right.
That's the funny part,
If they
right?
truly cared about you, they would pay for both things. Or
Yeah.
they wouldn't pay for any to begin with. They'd be
But
like, if you want to do it, and back in the day, it used to be you had to go through an extensive psychiatric evaluation
yeah,
before they let you transition. They would have to have where they would weigh the benefits against the detriment of your remaining the sex you were born in and all this stuff.
right.
It would be a long lasting thing. So human beings being what we are, people decided they didn't want to wait. And so what they were doing, they were going to Thailand and all those other
Yeah, yeah.
countries to
Giving them
get
their money.
giving them their money and getting the transition that they wanted, getting things cut off and mutilated and all of that. The only reason we in this country are allowing that to do, because they don't want that money to go anywhere else.
Correct.
Okay? Don't kid yourself. They don't care about
Here's
you.
here's another thing, right? I mean it's just like, to me, and to any Christian person, to any person who has morals and a conscience, to not even Christian even, but who knows right from wrong, murdering a child is not right. This government it's FUBAR, all right? And we can't fix it by a vote. And it's just it's ridiculous. Now everybody knows who that little David Hogue is, okay? Now he came out with half of an intelligent thought. It was half of an intelligent thought, but he's not mature enough, which is the problem with a lot on the left. They don't want to debate things. If you say something that they know is true, their instant response is to yell. But anyway, what that David Hogue said was, oh, and he named off a couple of school shootings, and he says, see, they had security guards, a good man as a gun, as you would say, and they did nothing. And he's absolutely right. But think the problem through. Who did they hire for security guards? Libtards, liberal people. Why? Because that's what the school board will hire. So you hired a liberal who is not a good man. You gave him a gun.
Mm-hmm.
If you would have hired veterans for security guards, I would tell you that this story would be different. Look at that boy walking around that back there in his underwear. Anyway.
We're live.
Right. But anyway, what I'm trying to tell you
Yes.
is the way you want to live in the cities, and you can actually look at this and you can see the cities. Every major large city is pretty much a shit bucket. And I'm sorry for saying that. And that's where the liberals live. The rest of the country is pretty much conservative. Now, you can push us so far and we won't be pushed anymore. Okay? Just like you people in the city. I mean, it's like, I've lived in big cities. I've been to every large city in this country. I used to be a professional truck driver. And let me tell you, there is no difference in these cities. It's filth.
I've been to Mexico City and
Yeah,
no better.
every large city is filth. Why? Because that's where the liberals go. All right? And it's like there's no way you can change anybody's mind. Under no circumstances am I gonna think confusing a young boy, like there's kids as young as 7 can decide if they're a boy or a girl. That's ridiculous. If these kids could decide what they wanted to be at 7 years old, I would have 3 dinosaurs and a kitty cat.
Uh-huh.
Right? I mean, that's just retarded. You have sick, perverse mothers that are pushing this junk on these kids. You have a sick, perverse school system that is pushing this stuff on the kids. No wonder this generation can't think for themselves. Yeah, go ahead.
The issue, I think, one of the things that one of those girls that was talking about detransition, and she transitioned, and she said when she went to the doctor told
Her mom.
her mom, that it was either this or she
Commit
had
suicide.
like gonna commit suicide.
Right.
So they use scare tactics on parents that are already very confused, they don't know what's gonna happen. They don't understand what's going on. They don't realize that
I
the
have a cat yelling at me.
yeah
You finish your point. Let me throw food out for him.
he's wanting out.
Is it out or food he wants? Oh,
Out.
all right. I don't speak cat very well.
I do real good. You should see it. I translate all the time.
There we go, cat. Anyhow,
But what they do is they use scare tactics, okay? And as a parent, instead of it's a whole system malfunction. You have a system where you have kids. Both parents go out to work because it takes sometimes in order to do all the things that the Joneses do. You have to have two people that do the work, and then you farm off to someone else the education of your children.
yeah.
And I don't mean like schooling education, but the mental education and maturity of your children. You farm it off to someone else. There's a total stranger that does not care about the future of your children. And therefore, when you have a child that's really, really confused about all this stuff, you haven't spent enough time with this child. You haven't done all the legwork that it takes to raise a child. Then all of a sudden you're presented with this drama. You don't know which way to turn.
Right.
As a parent, it's a whole system collapse.
But that girl did say, she says, no, I was just confused. I was not suicidal.
Yeah.
But they convinced her parents that she was on the verge of committing suicide.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And they're just like confused. And look, every girl.
I think every girl goes through a tomboy phase. It's perfectly normal.
Yeah, where you're like, wearing clothes, or if you ever, when you were very young, and this is how influential media is, okay?
Yeah.
When you're very young, did you ever go to the movies, and did you go see? It was for me and my brother. We went to see Rocky 4.
Oh.
Right? And we came back and we're like excited. Wow, we could take on the world kind of thing. You know that excitement that comes out when you go to see a movie where it's action and you're like, oh, wow, this is really cool. Okay. Now imagine that 1,000 times fed to your child every minute of the day. These people that are transgender, they make it so glamorous looking, so fun. You will be accepted by everybody. You will feel great. You will feel like you belong to everybody. And now imagine that all the time through social media, okay? But then you as a parent try to come in after 9, 10 hours of work in the last 2 hours of the day. Do you think that you're going to be able to undo and unravel all of that? You're mistaken. So,
but yeah, I mean, in my mind, it absolutely makes. We have been talking. Some of us are listening. Some of us are not listening. It doesn't matter. At this stage of the game, I am not going to convince a 22-year-old girl who slept whose body count is in the 50s and she's having fun. I can't convince her that murdering children is a bad thing and she's going to end up being a cat lady. It doesn't matter. There's no way she's going to believe me, nor should she. I'm an old man who lives in the deep South. There's no way that you're going to tell me murdering a child is normal. I mean, take Europe, for instance, okay? They lied. NATO, right, was there to protect Europe from Russia. When the Iron Curtain fell, Europe started doing business with Russia, buying natural gas and oil and other things, right? At that point, the United States needed to step out of NATO. This is not our business anymore. We're getting nothing for this. We are paying the lion's share to defend. Europe from Russia. Europe is not even paying as much as we are. Look at our country. It's falling apart. Inflation is out of control. Our roads are done for. All of this. We have an invasion at our southern border, right? And I'm telling you, no, I don't want to fund, the southern border. I don't want to pay for all these immigrants. I should not have to. If you want to, you can. So a national divorce. You guys, you take your states over there, we'll take our states over there. Or better yet, how about we do like the Constitution actually says? Strong state governments, weak federal governments. Because this is a disaster. I don't want to fight, but I'm advocating for peace. But there's no way we can convince each other on any of these topics.
It's the myth of neutrality.
Right.
Like he said, the left is convinced of their values and the way of life, and
They
we
are.
see that as a burden to anything that we believe.
Yeah.
We live under the knowledge that we belong to God and Jesus Christ.
Right.
And therefore, abortion, murder, homosexuality, transgenderism, all those things are sins.
They're an abomination. Yeah.
And while we are commanded to be kind and loving to everybody in the world, it does not mean that we get to say, we're going to go ahead and jump in there with you. Okay.
Right.
So, since we can't agree to disagree,
but
disagree and disagree.
The Constitution is clear. Anything that's not addressed in the Constitution goes to the states. All right? And you have judges up there getting involved in things that they shouldn't get involved in. I thought Roe versus Wade was a bad law. Not because I agree or disagree on the abortion thing with Roe versus Wade, but it was illegal. The United States government does not have the authority to tell women they can murder a child. All right? And since it's not in the Constitution, that's a statewide thing. So if your state wants to do it, fine. If you're a baby killer, move to one of those states.
That's right.
But you have to understand what's happening here can't be fixed. We can't fix it with an election. I will say the one thing about the left is, in my mind, they're absolute idiots. They're suffering from Trump derangement syndrome so bad that I know a little bit about real estate, and what this judge did, that's horseshit. Every real estate agent in the world should be arrested under, that guise that he did, because they all fudge numbers to get loans. There was nobody that got hurt. Everybody got their money. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But what I'm saying is we're so culturally different. All right. The name is the United States of America. Guess what? We're not united. And the problem with the left is they push, they push, they push, they push, they push. And, if you want to push the people that agree with you, that's fine. But the problem is the two-party system, I don't believe will ever work. The reason for that is there was supposed to be compromise. And we're not getting compromise. I mean, so now we're back to 1776, right? No taxation without representation. That's where I'm about ready to go. But anyway.
Yeah, it's bad.
But, I mean, you can't convince anybody, okay?
The myth of neutrality.
And what's worse is I'm looking at these polls. Texas is not even leading on the polls. I think Texas was 32% of the population in Texas wants to exit from the union. And guess what? We're not even leading the polls. Alaska and 2 other states were ahead of us that want to leave the union. Why are they pushing on Texas? Well, because the Democrats have been trying to turn Texas blue forever. Why are they trying to turn Texas blue? Because we have oil, natural gas, resources. It's a booming economy. But buyer beware. Look what happened when you turned California blue.
Yeah.
It's a shit pot. It's in debt. It is the most disgusting place I've ever seen in my life. Block after block after block after block of people living on the street. And these people are screaming, open the borders, right? And then they're taking care of people that are crossing the border, but not the people that are here in this country. That makes no sense. To me, that's an abomination. It has to be fixed. And look, you have a president right now. Boy, this is a rant on my part, ain't it? You have a president right now that a Democratic law guy who was appointed to put on kid gloves and investigate him said that he can't be put on trial because he's mentally not competent to stand trial. He has dementia, basically. Right? And you guys still stand behind him.
Yeah, well, of course they do.
I mean, yeah. So I would say that by the time we get to the election, a national divorce will be instigated by one side or the other. I hope not. But if this administration doesn't back off, it will happen. I mean, I have no doubt in my mind. And I'm not advocating for violence. I'm just sitting here and I'm observing it.
Here's the thing. You know how if you know people, let's say that you get to this family that lives next door or a couple doors down from you. You see them go in and out every morning. They all look normal. Every now and then you hear a little bit of argument going on next door, and you go like, "Oh, okay." But most of the time, they seem really fun, quiet family, and you're like, "Okay." And then one day it turns out that the father was a murderous person. They had bodies in the basement, and the kids were all drunk and alcoholics, and all of this stuff. Okay, you see all the drama that we're seeing going on in the White House, all of this debauchery,
cocaine in the White House,
all
really?
This stuff. This is what we see. This is the equivalent of watching our neighbor going down the street to put his garbage out and just say good morning and good afternoon. I cannot even imagine how much corruption is behind all of that. Right. Okay, we only get to see what it seeps through the edges of their debauchery, man. You don't know, who knows what's going on underneath their windows.
The problem could be fixed, but it would take both sides to fix this problem. And on this side, and the reason it won't be fixed, and I can actually put a blame to it, is Democrats. Because they'll never agree to it. We could absolutely come back together as a nation. And the way to do this, the absolute start has to be term limits. Okay? It has to be fair and honest elections. This mail-in voting and stuff like this. And see, already you've got people out there, I can feel it. Their assholes are puckering because you're telling them they can't cheat in an election anymore. Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm just saying, so it would never happen. But term limits would eventually fix our problem. But you can't expect a feller to go to Washington, D.C., making, what is it? They make a little under $200,000 a year, I believe. It's like $175,000 or something like that. Yeah. You cannot expect this guy to go to Washington and he can make that much money in one night going to dinner with a lobbyist.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. You can't.
The money.
You can't serve two houses. You either serve God or you serve money. And these people are serving money, not God.
I mean, that would be the first start is term limits. The next step would have to be, you've got to move all this stuff out of Washington, D.C. All of it's got to go. The Pentagon, the FBI, all these people got to go. They got to go somewhere else. In my opinion, the Department of Justice and the FBI are so corrupt. They're just like your local law enforcement. What does your local law enforcement really enforce anymore? They don't enforce the Constitution. They don't. They don't enforce your rights. No, not at all. They're feelings police. They enforce whatever they think mob rule is going to agree with. Just like the FBI, just like the DOJ. I mean, we have a two-tiered justice system. It's on full display. Mm-hmm. And the problem is like, when you say a Republican Party and a Democratic Party, that's a misnomenclature. Are there a few true Democrats? Yes. Are there a few true Republicans? Yes. But in the most part, it's a uniparty.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care
Yep.
about me, themselves, making money at the expense of the American people, and they don't care how they do it.
I mean, you got a guy that goes to Washington D.C. making $170,000 a year or whatever it is, and when he leaves Washington, he's worth $200 million. How's that happen? Well, inside trading.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So it's just, but what I'm saying, yeah, we're getting close. Yeah. I just don't see how we can unite. Culturally, we're too different. And for anyone to sit over there and say, oh, I believe in, murdering children. I believe in mutilating children. I believe pedophilia is not pedophilia. It's minor attracted person. I believe because I'm a woman, I have a right to murder a baby. There's no way I can ever agree with you.
That's right.
There's just none.
There's no compromise.
Yeah.
Like the abortion, it's just there's no compromise whatsoever on that.
Right. I am not going to have you teaching my children filth and perversion. All right. Yeah. It's just, and you stand there all snug and smug and right. So, yeah.
It's not happening.
Not happening.
Let's get a divorce.
I would say, yeah, we need a national divorce. I want to do it peacefully. You can keep what you have and we will take our children.
That's right.
All right? Because we're the responsible parents here.
Yeah.
And I know that just goes right to them. I can feel them. No. I know what's best for your child. No. At 3:00 in the morning when my kids were sick and throwing up and I was having to run to Walgreens to get medicine for them and to spend the night in a hospital while they got tubes into, you weren't there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't buy my baby food, my diapers. No.
Nope. We did.
Right. So, no, these are my children, not yours.
Yep. Anyway,
that there straightens it up. I just, if you sit back with a clear conscience, and that's something else. I mean, they love to divide you into all these little groups, special interest groups.
On everything.
Like,
politics, religion, everything. It's incredible, You all want to be part of the team. How about we all just team Jesus, man?
Yeah.
I'm good.
I'm just saying, divided, we will be conquered. They're leading in the cities. They're leading you people around by the nose. And look, there's a reason why this Kansas City thing, every time they promote their gun grabbing bullshit. And every time it's usually a minority or the last 4 church shootings, or 5, I think, were transgender people that were upset. Mm-hmm. I mean, why do I need that in my community?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Why don't you take your crazy and stay over there and leave us in Texas alone? We're all full up on crazy. I'm telling you.
We got plenty.
Anyway, God bless everybody.
God bless.
And think about it.
Yeah, think about it.
Anyhow.
Let's get a divorce.
Let's get a divorce. Bye-bye.